Stress and depression are in everybody's life, but how much do they really affect us? Many people think of depression as just a feeling of sadness, but in reality, it is much more than that. Depression is actually a mental illness, of which 5.3% of Canadians 15 and over have reported having symptoms for in 2002. A more recent study shows that 12.2% of Canadian adults reported having symptoms of depression. Depression is part of the family of mood disorders, and can change your view on life, more commonly than not, in a negative way. It is often described by people diagnosed with depression as living in a black hole. Many people have a feeling of hopelessness or helplessness. Many people do not even realize they have depression, or they try and hide it because they are afraid of what people will think or how they will react. Depression can be caused by one thing or by multiple factors. A psychological factor is how we view things. For example, if one were to have a negative upbringing in which negative comments and criticism were common, they may grow up to have a negative view on life, which could lead them into depression. There is also a biological factor to depression. If there is an imbalance of naturally occurring substances called neurotransmitters, it can also lead to depression. Finally, there are also environmental factors to depression, such as the death of someone close to you, a divorce, financial difficulties, social isolation, and demanding or stressful workplaces. Depression can show up with many different symptoms. Some can even be related or linked with others. A common group of symptoms is the negative feelings towards yourself or on life in general. These could include feeling hopeless or helpless, losing interest in daily activity, self-loathing, or even talking about self-harming yourself or committing suicide. The other symptoms may include appetite and weight changes, loss of energy, aggression, sleep changes, and concentration problems. Depression doesn't just harm the mind, but the body as well. If depression goes unchecked for a long period of time, it can become a danger to you. Suicide or self-harm can occur. Addiction to drugs or alcohol. Or even a difficulty taking care of any other illnesses that you may have. Depression doesn't just affect the person with it, but also the people around them as well. Friends and family could start to worry about not only that person harming themselves, but also about social isolation. It might even get to the point where they think that person is such a hassle to deal with that they try to avoid them. Depression can often cause a lack of motivation, which can cause you to fall behind your schoolwork, resulting in a cycle of depression that starts with being depressed, obtaining a lack of motivation, falling behind in your schoolwork, and then repeating. It is also hard for one to get up on time for school due to the possible changes in your sleep habits. Remember, it is not somebody's fault for being depressed, so don't make it look like it is. If somebody you know is suffering from depression, be supportive and try to help them. Stress is a moment that your body undergoes when in the face of something that would be deemed harmful. When your body is under the impression that you're threatened, there is a chemical reaction that your brain initiates to the rest of your body, to which during this stress mode, or stress response, your heart will begin to race, your muscles will start to clench up, and your blood pressure will rise significantly. This is what we usually refer to as the fight or flight response. This fight or flight response is helpful, but the reasons why people feel that they are under chronic stress is because it is activating when they don't need to. Have you ever had to present a speech in front of a group of people and you get this overwhelming feeling over your body? Guess what that was? That was your stress mode activating when it didn't even need to. There are many factors of stress, but the most common are financial problems, workplace stress, personal relationships, personal health, and annoyances or irritants. Stress can cause or even make these already existing problems even worse. When you're stressed out, you tend to look only at the negative side of things, which would in turn make these existing problems worse. This is how stress can affect you. Depression, problems with weight, digestive problems, pain, both physical and mental, heart disease, and changes in your sleeping pattern. What are the signs and symptoms of chronic stress? Feeling like you have a huge workload, or feeling under pressure. Having difficulty communicating or relaying your feelings. Feeling like not eating, or feeling the need to comfort yourself with foods frequently. Wanting to isolate yourself, or trying to withdraw yourself from society. Putting on or losing weight without dieting. Feeling tired or fatigued all the time. A feeling of loneliness, or a feeling as though you're worthless. Overreacting to things that wouldn't really matter otherwise. But how can it affect your friends and family? Well, when you're chronically stressed, you feel the need to socially isolate yourself, which can distance relationships with people you care about. And even furthermore, stress can often bring on a feeling of aggression, which can damage relationships even more.
Stress and depression are highly related problems. In fact, they have similar effects on the brain. When undergoing stress, you become more susceptible to depression. Being stressed can also cause symptoms of depression through negative effects on the brain. One of these negative effects is that it reduces the release of dopamine, which is what makes you feel good. Both stress and depression can cause each other. Some stressful events, as well as being stressed, can lead to a decline in social interaction, which can then lead to depression. Experiencing and trying to deal with depression can also be stressful, especially if you don't know what to do or where to get help. If you're feeling stressed or depressed, just remember you're not alone. The best thing you can do is talk to someone, be it a friend, family member, teacher, counselor, doctor, or psychiatrist. If you go to a professional, don't be afraid if they prescribe you medications or treatments. They're often very effective, and if it's not, there are plenty of alternatives. Having people to support you is a great thing, but they can't do all the work for you. A good way to start helping yourself is to just relax. Try to get some decent sleep and maybe a nice little hobby. It's also a good idea to keep your body healthy. Eat well, avoid harmful substances, and get some exercise. If you are still unsure about things, have further questions, need to be pushed in the right direction, or even just need to talk to someone, there are free services online or to call, such as Kids Help Phone.